My name is Gloria Hawthorne. I am 70 years old and I have spent my entire life understanding how things fit together. I was a structural engineer for 40 years. I built bridges. I know that even the most magnificent steel arch will collapse if a single load-bearing rivet is rusted. People are the same. They paint over the rust. They polish the surface. But if you know where to look, you can see the stress fractures long before the catastrophe. Last Sunday, I drove my 2012 Chevy Silverado to the house my daughter Crystal bought 3 years ago. I say bought, but that implies ownership. The bank owns it, or rather, the entity that holds the note owns it. It was a cold afternoon, the sky the color of a bruised plum. I parked my truck on the street because my son-in-law Marcus doesn't like work vehicles on the pristine driveway. The house sat on a hill in Chestnut Hill, a monolithic slab of white concrete and floor-to-ceiling glass that looked less like a home and more like an Apple store designed by a sociopath. It had no warmth. It had no soul. It was a stage set for a play about rich people. I walked up the path carrying a small wooden box. I had finished in my workshop that morning. It was made of reclaimed walnut, joined with hand-cut dovetails, sanded to 2000 grit until the wood felt like silk. Inside was my late husband Harold's peach cobbler recipe, the one I baked every Sunday after church. It was a tradition. I rang the bell. It didn't ring. It chimed a digital melodic sequence that echoed through the cavernous entryway. Crystal opened the door. My daughter. She looked 10 years older than her age of 38. She was wearing a cashmere sweater that probably cost more than my first car, but it hung on her loosely. Her eyes were darting around, nervous like a bomb disposal technician, unsure which wire to cut. "Hey mama," she said, her voice tight. She didn't hug me. She stepped back to let me in. "Baby," I said, stepping onto the white marble floor. "You look tired." "Just work," she mumbled, wiping her palms on her slacks. "End of quarter targets. You know how it is." I knew exactly how it was. I knew she wasn't hitting targets. I knew she was drowning. "Is he here?" I asked. "In the living room," she said, flinching slightly at the question. He's planning." I walked down the hallway. The air smelled of ozone and expensive chemical lilies. There were no photos on the walls, just abstract art that looked like violence splattered on canvas. Marcus was lying on a white leather sectional that stretched for 20 feet. He was flipping through a catalog for luxury yacht rentals. He didn't look up when I entered. He didn't move. He just turned a page, the glossy paper snapping in the silence. "Hello, Marcus," I said. He paused. He took a breath, as if my presence was sucking the oxygen out of the room. Then he looked up. His eyes were cold blue, handsome, and completely empty of empathy. "Gloria," he said, "you're early." "I brought cobbler," I said, holding out the walnut box. "Harold's recipe." He looked at the box as if it contained radioactive waste. "Put it on the counter," he said, waving a hand vaguely toward the kitchen island, a slab of gray quartz the size of a landing strip. "The cleaner just came. Try not to leave crumbs." I placed the box gently on the stone. I sat in one of the uncomfortable metal chairs. "So," I said, trying to bridge the gap that had been widening for 5 years, "Christmas is coming up. I was thinking I could bring the honey-glazed ham this year. I found a butcher in West Philly who actually—" "Gloria," Marcus interrupted, closing his magazine with a sharp snap. "We need to talk about that." He sat up. He smoothed his pants. He put on a smile. It wasn't a real smile. It was the smile a shark gives before it bites a seal. "Talk about the ham," I asked, though I knew it wasn't about the meat. "About Christmas," he said. "Crystal and I have been discussing it." He looked at my daughter. Crystal was standing by the window, staring out at the gray sky, refusing to meet my eyes. She was vibrating with anxiety. "Crystal," I asked. She didn't turn. "Marcus thinks." "We think." She trailed off. "What Crystal is trying to say," Marcus cut in, his voice sharp, "is that we're making a change this year. My parents, Vernon and Diane, are flying in from Scottsdale. It's a very special occasion." "That's nice," I said. "I haven't seen them since the wedding. It will be good to catch up." Marcus let out a short, cold laugh. "Oh, Gloria, you're not understanding. We want this Christmas to be elevated. My parents are used to a certain caliber of evening, a certain atmosphere." He looked me up and down. I was wearing my flannel shirt and my canvas work pants. I was clean, but I looked like what a wuza, woman who worked with her hands. "We're keeping the guest list exclusive," he said. "High-value family only, people who contribute to the aesthetic we're trying to build." The words hung in the cold air. High value, aesthetic, I see, I said slowly, and I don't fit the aesthetic. It's just going to be intimate, he said, examining his fingernails. Just real family, you understand. We don't want you to feel uncomfortable. Vernon and Diane talk about, well, complex financial things, investments, culture. You'd be bored. I wouldn't be bored, I said quietly. You would be out of place, he corrected, his voice losing the fake sweetness. And frankly, Gloria, we don't need the clutter. We don't need your old truck in the driveway and your stories about whatever it is you do in that garage. It's depressing. He stood up. He walked over to the kitchen island and picked up the walnut box I had made. He looked at the hand-cut dovetails. It's sweet, he said, in a rustic way, but we're doing a minimalist theme, gold and acrylic. He dropped the box back onto the counter. It made a hollow thud. So, he said, turning his back to me, we'll see you in January, maybe. For coffee, call first. If you're watching this video, tell me where you're from or what time it is for you. I sat there for a moment. I looked at the back of his head. I looked at my daughter, who was still staring out the window, studying the driveway pavers, as if they held the secrets of the universe. Crystal, I said. She flinched. Is this what you want? I asked. Your daddy loved Christmas. We never spent one apart. It's just, Crystal started, her voice cracking. She cleared her throat. It's just 1 year. Mama, Vernon, and Diane, they're demanding. It's easier this way. Please don't make a scene. I'm not making a scene, I said. I'm asking my daughter why she is letting her husband throw her mother out of her life like a bag of trash. You're not being thrown out. Marcus spun around, his eyes flashing. You are being managed. God, why do you always have to be such a victim? This is exactly why we don't want you here. The drama, the guilt trips. It's exhausting. Gloria, it's pathetic. He walked over to Crystal and put a hand on her shoulder. It looked possessive, like a claw. Crystal agrees with me, he said. Don't you, baby? Crystal shrank under his touch. She looked like a dog that had been beaten too many times. Yeah, she whispered. Yeah, Mama, just go. She wouldn't look at me. She couldn't. I stood up. My knees popped. I felt a coldness spreading through my chest. It wasn't sadness. Sadness is hot. It burns. This was cold. It was the temperature of liquid nitrogen. It was the feeling of a bridge snapping. I understand, I said. My voice was steady. High value family only. I wouldn't want to lower the property value of your evening. I walked to the kitchen island. I picked up the walnut box. Hey, Marcus snapped. Leave the cobbler. Crystal likes it. No, I said. It doesn't fit the aesthetic. I tucked the box under my arm. I walked to the door. Have a wonderful Christmas, I said without looking back. I hope it's everything you paid for. I walked out into the gray afternoon. I got into my truck. I placed the box on the passenger seat. I started the engine. The V8 rumbled to life, a real mechanical sound in a world of plastic silence. I didn't drive home immediately. I drove around the corner and pulled into a side street. I sat there for 5 minutes, watching the rain start to spot the windshield. I wasn't angry anymore. I was calculating. I reached into my glove box and pulled out a burner phone. Not my regular cell. This was a secure line. I dialed a number I knew by heart. It rang once. Peton, a voice answered, clipped, professional. It's Gloria, I said. Gloria, I didn't expect to hear from you until the quarterly review. Is everything all right? No, I said. It's time. There was a pause on the line. Peton knew what that meant. He had been waiting for this call for 2 years. Are you sure? He asked. Once we pull this lever, the gears engage. There is no reverse. They kicked me out of Christmas, Peton, I said, watching a raindrop slide down the glass like a tear. They told me I wasn't high value enough. They told me I was clutter. I see, Peton said. His voice changed. It became sharper. That was a mistake. Execute the option on the Hawthorne note. I commanded. H&G Ventures is calling the loan. Full repayment. Demand immediate satisfaction. The outstanding balance is $480,000, Petuan said. They don't have it. Gloria, you know they don't have it. I know, I said. That's the point. Serve the notice tomorrow morning. Send it courier. Certified. I want them to choke on their coffee. Consider it done, Peton said. And Gloria, yes, Merry Christmas. We'll see, I said, and I hung up. I drove home to my apartment in West Philadelphia. It was a simple place on the second floor of a brick building in the older part of town. It wasn't a glass box. It was warm. It was filled with books and the smell of sawdust and old oil. I put the cobbler on the counter, I didn't eat one piece. I went straight to my bedroom and opened the closet. I pushed aside my flannel shirts and opened the heavy steel safe bolted to the floor. Inside were stacks of documents, ledgers, certificates of incorporation, and a black velvet roll. I took out the roll and unspooled it on my bed. 10 watches. Antique Patek Philippe's Vacherin Constantins. My father had been a watchmaker. He had taught me that time is the only currency that matters. These watches were worth more than Crystal's house. Marcus had asked about them a month ago. He had seen a photo of my father working on one. He had asked if they were real gold. I had seen the greed flare in his eyes like a match strike. I rolled them back up. I put them in a travel bag. I wasn't leaving them here. Not anymore. I went into my living room. In the corner stood my workbench. It was covered in brass gears, springs, and escapements. I was building a grandfather clock from scratch. It was a difficult build. It required patience. It required precision. I sat down at the bench. I picked up a tiny file and began to smooth the edge of a brass cog. Scritch, scritch, the sound calmed me. Crystal thought I was a retired engineer living on a pension. She thought I was scraping by. She didn't know about Harold's family land. She didn't know about the patents I held for suspension bridge dampeners. She didn't know that H&G Ventures Harold and Gloria owned commercial real estate in 3 states. She didn't know that when she was drowning in debt 2 years ago, terrified of losing that monstrosity of a house, I was the one who bought her mortgage from the bank. I bought the toxic debt to save her from foreclosure. I let her keep paying the bank as a servicer so she would never know her mother was her landlord. I had done it to give her time. Time to grow up. Time to leave him. But time had run out. 3 days passed. I spent them in the workshop. I turned my phone off. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I just wanted to work. I was fitting the pendulum bob when the burner phone buzzed on the bench. It was Thursday. The bomb should have landed. I picked it up. Delivery confirmed, Petin said. Signed for by Marcus Hawthorne at 10:42 a.m. I imagine the screaming started at 10:43. Good, I said. I also have some preliminary data from the forensic audit you requested, Petin said. You were right to be suspicious. This spending doesn't add up. Even with her salary and his, whatever he claims to do, the burn rate is impossible. But there's something else. What? Large cash withdrawals, strange transfers, and I found a link to a known bookie in Kensington. A guy named Felix. Gambling, I asked. Looks like it, but I need more proof. I'm digging deeper. I'll have a full report by Monday. Keep digging, I said. I hung up just as I did. My regular cell phone, the old flip phone I carried to maintain my simple old woman persona, started to vibrate. I looked at the caller ID. Crystal. I let it ring once, twice, 3 times. Let her sweat. Let the pressure build. I picked up on the 4th ring. Hello, I said, making my voice sound weary. Mama, Mama, pick up. Crystal was screaming. She sounded hysterical. She was hyperventilating. Crystal, slow down. What's happening? It's the house, Mama. We got a letter, a notice. They're foreclosing. They're taking the house. Who is? I asked, acting confused. The bank. No, that's the crazy part. It's not the bank. It's some company called H&G Ventures. I've never even heard of them. They say they own the note and they're calling it due. Immediate payment. $480,000. Mama, by January 1st. That sounds serious. I said, can't you just refinance? We can't, she sobbed. Our credit is shot. We're maxed out. Marcus, he's destroying the kitchen. He's throwing things. He says it's a scam. He says we have to sue them. Well, I said calmly, if they own the note, they own the note. Suing won't stop an eviction. Eviction. She choked on the word. Mama, we'll be homeless. We have nowhere to go. That is a predicament, I said, especially with Christmas coming up and your high-value guests. Don't, she moaned. Don't do that right now. I'm begging you. Help me. Do you have? I know you have your savings. Crystal, I said sternly. I live in a 2-bedroom apartment. I drive a 10-year-old truck. I don't have $500,000 lying around. I know, she cried. I'm just desperate. What do I do? I let the silence stretch over the line. I picked up a brass gear and held it to the light. It was perfect. Well, I said slowly, you do have family coming into town. Wealthy family. What? Vernon and Diane, I said. Marcus said they were very successful. Scottsdale Investments, high value? Yeah, Crystal said, hesitating. If they are as rich as Marcus says, surely a small loan to save their son's home wouldn't be an issue. $500,000. That should be pocket change for people of their caliber. I don't know, Mama. Asking them for money. You don't have a choice, baby, I said. You're drowning. Swallow your pride. Ask the people who demand it to be the only family at your table. She sniffed. You're right. They'll help. They have to. Their family. Good luck, I said. Let me know how it goes. I hung up. I knew exactly how it would go. Vernon and Diane were frauds. I had run a background check on them 5 years ago. They leased their cars. They rented the Scottsdale house for 2 weeks a year to take photos. They were swimming in debt, just like their son. I had just thrown a match into a room full of gasoline. The explosion happened 2 days later, Saturday morning. I was in the workshop applying linseed oil to the clock case. My flip phone rang. Unknown number. Hello, Gloria Hawthorne. The voice was imperious, nasal, and deeply unpleasant. Speaking. This is Vernon Sterling, Marcus's father. Oh, Vernon. Hello. I heard you were in town. Cut the pleasantries, he snapped. We have a situation, a crisis. Frankly, your daughter has got herself into a catastrophic mess. My daughter? I asked. I thought it was a joint mortgage. Crystal is the provider, Vernon barked. Or she's supposed to be. Look, we need to meet immediately. This affects the family image. I'm a bit busy, I said. I have some sanding to do. Sanding? He scoffed. Gloria, put down your toys. We are at the Marion Golf Club. We have a table in the grill room at noon. Be there. We need to resolve this financial incompetence before it ruins Christmas. Marion, I repeated. That's a members-only club. I am a guest of a member, Vernon said smoothly. I will leave your name at the gate. Try to wear something presentable. The line went dead. I looked at my oil-stained work pants. I looked at my flannel shirt with the hole in the elbow. I smiled. Marion Golf Club was a fortress of old money. Manicured fairways, stone walls, and a parking lot full of Bentleys and Mercedes. I rolled up in my Silverado, the mud flaps caked in road grime. The young valet looked horrified. Delivery entrance is around back, he said, waving me away. I rolled down the window. I'm here for a meeting. Name's Hawthorne. He checked his clipboard. He frowned, then his eyes went wide. He looked at the truck, then back at the list. Mrs. Hawthorne, he stammered. Mrs. Gloria Hawthorne. That's me, son. I am so sorry, ma'am. I didn't recognize, the vehicle. Mrs. Henderson usually drives the S-Class. It's fine, I said. Park it up front. Keep it running. The starter is finicky. Yes, ma'am. Right away, ma'am. He opened my door with a bow. I stepped out, brushing sawdust off my pants. I walked through the heavy oak doors. The lobby smelled of leather and money. The club manager, a man named Archibald, who I had helped get this job 10 years ago, saw me. He started to rush over, a big smile on his face. I caught his eye and gave a tiny, almost imperceptible shake of my head. Don't blow my cover. Archibald paused. He was a smart man. He nodded slightly and retreated. I walked into the grill room. It was crowded with the Saturday lunch crowd. In the center, at the best table by the window, sat the tribunal. Vernon was wearing a blazer with gold buttons that looked like it belonged on a yacht. Captain Diane was draped in jewelry that sparkled a little too brightly under the halogen lights like cubic zirconia. Marcus was there, wearing huge sunglasses indoors, looking pale and furious. Crystal sat with her head in her hands. I walked over. You made it, Vernon said, not standing up. He looked at my clothes with open disgust. And you dressed for gardening? I was working, I said, pulling out a chair. Sit down, Diane commanded. We have ordered you an iced tea. We assumed you wouldn't want anything expensive. I sat. Thank you, Diane. How is Scottsdale? Wonderful, she lied. Weather was perfect. But we are not here to talk about our estates. We are here to talk about this foreclosure. It's a disaster, Marcus hissed. We have 72 hours to pay, or we're on the street. H&G Ventures. They're sharks, criminals. Have you tried talking to them? I asked. We can't find them. Crystal moaned into her hands. There's no phone number, just AP. Oh, box and a lawyer's address. We sent a letter, but there's no time. So, Vernon said, leaning forward and clasping his hands, we have come up with a solution, a family solution. That sounds promising, I said. Are you going to lend them the money? Vernon coughed. Don't be absurd, Gloria. Our capital is tied up. Illiquid assets. real estate, stocks. We can't just liquidate instantly. The tax implications would be horrific. Of course, I said. A liquid? No, Diane said, smiling that fake predatory smile. We were thinking about your assets. My assets. I looked around. I have a truck and a belt sander. You have an apartment, Vernon said. Crystal tells us it's fully paid off. In a gentrifying neighborhood. Worth what? $300,000. Maybe $350. I stared at him. It's my home. It's a resource, Vernon corrected. And you have savings, a pension. If you sold the apartment quickly, we know a realtor who specializes in distress sales and cashed out your retirement. You could raise enough to cover a significant portion of the debt. We could perhaps co-sign a small loan for the rest. You want me to sell my home? I said slowly. And live where? Golden Years Manor, Marcus piped up. He had taken off his sunglasses. His eyes were red, but he looked eager. We looked it up. It's a lovely facility. Assisted living. They have meals, activities, nurses. It's really better for someone your age. Gloria, you wouldn't have to worry about cooking or cleaning. You'd be safe. Safe. I repeated. It's the responsible thing to do, Vernon said, pounding the table softly. A mother sacrifices for her children. You've had your life. Crystal is just starting. Are you really going to let your daughter become homeless because you're too stubborn to move into a retirement home? They had planned this. They had discussed it over appetizers. Throw the old woman into a home. Take her money. Save the mansion. I looked at Crystal. Baby, I asked, is this what you want? You want me to sell my apartment and move into a nursing home? Crystal looked up. Her face was gray. She looked at Marcus. He glared at her. Mama, she whispered. I don't know what else to do. I can't lose the house. Marcus, he'll leave me. So you're asking me to do this? I'm asking for help, she choked out. I see, I said. Well, that is a proposal. It's the only option, Vernon stated. We've drawn up the paperwork. We just need you to sign a power of attorney so we can list the apartment for you. Marcus will handle the sale. He slid a document across the table. It was already prepared. I reached out and put my hand on the paper, but I didn't pick it up. I think, I said, before I sign away my life, I should consult my advisor. Advisor. Diane laughed. The guy at the hardware store. No, I said. I pointed toward the entrance of the grill room. Walking toward us was a man who looked like he owned the air he walked through. He was wearing a three-piece charcoal suit that cost more than Vernon's entire wardrobe. He had silver hair, polished wingtips, and a briefcase made of Italian seals. It was Petin. The room seemed to quiet down as he passed. Members nodded respectfully. Waiters bowed. He walked straight to our table. Vernon's jaw dropped. He recognized the look of real power. He sat up straighter, fixing his tie. Sir, Vernon said, putting on his sycophantic voice, are you looking for someone? Petin ignored him. He looked directly at me. Gloria, he said, his voice warm and deferential. I hope I'm not interrupting. Not at all, Petin, I said. Please join us. Petin pulled up a chair. He placed his briefcase on the table. Who is this? Marcus asked, looking confused. My name is Arthur Petin, he said. I am Mrs. Hawthorne's attorney. Attorney? Vernon laughed nervously. Gloria has an attorney. What for? Traffic tickets. I manage Mrs. Hawthorne's estate, Petin said coldly, and I serve as general counsel for her various business interests. Business interests? Diane asked, her voice shrinking. Yes, Petin said. Specifically, I represent her on the board of H&G Ventures. Silence. Absolute suffocating silence. Vernon turned the color of cottage cheese. Marcus dropped his fork. It clattered onto the china. A loud, jarring sound. H&G, Crystal stammered. Harold and Gloria. Very good. Crystal, I said. You always were good at puzzles. You, Marcus whispered. You owned the note. You sent the foreclosure. Technically, the company sent it, I said. I just authorized it. This is insane, Vernon sputtered. You're a mechanic. You live in a dump. I live below my means, I said. Unlike some people. You can't do this, Marcus screamed. Your family. You can't foreclose on family. I thought I wasn't family, I said, my voice hard. I thought I was clutter. I thought I wasn't high value enough for your Christmas dinner. That was just a misunderstanding, Vernon said, sweating profusely. A joke. We were joking, weren't we, Marcus? It didn't feel like a joke, I said. It felt like an eviction from my daughter's life, so I decided to return the favor. Look, Petin cut in, opening his briefcase. This meeting was informative. It confirms that the debtors are insolvent and attempting to coerce a senior citizen into liquidating her primary residence. That's elder abuse, by the way. We didn't coerce, Diane shrieked. We suggested. We have witnesses, Piton said, glancing around the room. Now, the demand stands. $480,000. Full payment Monday morning or the eviction proceeds. Mama, please, Crystal begged. You can't do this. It's my home. It's a house, Crystal, I said, and you can't afford it. You never could. I stood up. Piton stood with me. We have a board meeting to attend, I said. Enjoy your lunch. I recommend the crab cakes. They're expensive, but I hear they're high value. We walked away. I could feel their eyes burning into my back. I didn't turn around. We went to Piton's office in Center City. It was a glass tower, 40 floors up. The view was spectacular. That was satisfying, Piton said, pouring 2 glasses of scotch. It was theater, I said, but it doesn't solve the problem. Why are they so desperate? But I know they're broke, but this panic, trying to put me in a home, that's not just greed, that's fear. I agree, Piton said. He slid a folder across the mahogany desk. The forensic audit is back, and it's ugly. I opened the folder, rows of numbers, red ink. Marcus isn't just shopping, Piton said. He's gambling, online crypto casinos, high-stakes poker apps. He's lost $95,000 in the last 8 months. Good God, I whispered. It gets worse. He's been funding it with cash advances on credit cards, but he ran out of credit, so he started getting creative. He flipped a page. He's been selling things, designer clothes, electronics, and lately, stolen goods. We found texts on a burner account linked to his IP address. He's been communicating with a fence, a guy named Felix. He runs a pawn shop in Kensington, on 4th Street. I read the transcript. Marcus, I have more antique gears, brass, from a clockmaker's collection. Felix, bring them. I'll melt them down. Cash only. My blood ran cold. My workshop, I said. I gave Crystal a key for emergencies. He must have copied it. He's been raiding your workshop while you're out, Piton said. Stealing spare parts, brass weights, anything he can carry that looks like metal. Those gears, some of them are from the 1800s. They're irreplaceable. He doesn't care, Piton said. To him, it's scrap metal for slot machine money. I need to stop him, I said. If we can prove he's stealing, we have leverage. We can force Crystal to see the truth. We need the goods, Piton said. If we catch Felix with your marked gears, we have him on grand larceny. Let's go, I said. We took my truck. It was darker now, the city lights blurring in the rain. Kensington was a maze of corrugated steel and razor wire. We found Felix's shop. It was a grim, concrete bunker with a sign that said, "We buy gold." Stay in the truck, Piton said. No, I said. They're my gears. We walked in. The bell on the door jingled a cheap, tiny sound. The place was empty. The glass display cases were smashed. Papers were scattered on the floor. Hello, I called out. Nothing. We walked to the back. The office door was open. Inside, a safe stood open and empty. He's gone, Piton said, kicking a pile of trash. Cleared out? I asked. Marcus, Piton said. He must have panicked after the lunch. He knew we were on to H&G. He knew we had resources. He probably tipped him off, told him to dump the evidence. I looked around the dusty room. In the corner, I saw a glint of brass. I walked over. It was a single, small cog. One of mine. I recognized the file marks. It was all that was left. We missed him, I said, clutching the cog. We lost the physical evidence. We have the texts, Piton said. Texts can be faked. Without the stolen property, it's he said, she said. He'll claim I gave them to him. He'll lie. This complicates things, Piton admitted. We have the financial data, but without the theft proof, Crystal might still side with him. She's weak, Gloria. She believed the lie because it's easier than facing the truth. Then we need to make the truth impossible to ignore, I said. We need to trap him. Sunday, the calm before the execution. I was in my apartment, cleaning the single brass cog. It was a symbol now, a reminder of what was at stake. My phone rang. It was Piton. We have a problem, he said. A big one. What now? I have a contact at the courthouse, a clerk. She just flagged a filing, an emergency petition for guardianship, incompetency due to dementia. I froze. They're trying to commit me. They filed it this morning via an emergency judge. The hearing is set for tomorrow afternoon. They are claiming you are paranoid, delusional, and squandering your asset. They cite the fake foreclosure as proof of your mental break. They want to lock you up, I said, realizing the depth of their depravity, to stop the eviction. If they get guardianship, Gloria, they get control of H&G Ventures. They get control of everything. They will dismiss the foreclosure, sell your assets, and dump you in golden years manna. Who signed the affidavit? I asked. Marcus Baton said, and Crystal. The name hit me like a physical blow. Crystal, my daughter. She had signed a paper saying her mother was insane to save her own skin. She signed it, I whispered. Her signature is on the document. I'm looking at a digital copy right now. I closed my eyes. I saw Crystal as a little girl, helping me fix her bicycle chain. I saw her looking up at me with trust. That girl was dead. Okay, I said. Okay, Gloria, we need to counter this. We need to go to the police. No, I said. Not yet. If we go to the police, it becomes a long legal battle. They'll drag it out. I'll be tied up in competency hearings for months. I need to end this tomorrow. How? The board meeting, I said. We bring everything. The gambling, the theft, the petition. We put it all on the table. We force Crystal to look at it. We break her. Trisky Petone said. If she sticks with him, if she lies for him in front of the judge, then I lose, I said. But I have to give her one last chance to be a woman of integrity. At that exact moment, across town, Marcus was in his home office. He was shredding documents. Crystal stood in the doorway, watching him. She looked sick. Marcus, she said, are you sure about this? The petition, saying she's crazy. It feels wrong. It's not wrong. Crystal, he snapped, feeding a stack of loan applications into the shredder. The machine whirred as it ate the paper. She is crazy. She thinks she owns a company. She thinks she owns our house. It's a delusion. We are protecting her. But the loan applications, Crystal pointed at the shredder. Why are you destroying those? Clean up, he said breezily. Just old paperwork. We need a fresh start, baby. Once we get guardianship, we can manage her money properly. We can pay off everything. We'll be free. But those looked like my signature on loans I never took out. Marcus froze. He turned to her slowly. Don't be paranoid, Crystal. It runs in the family, apparently. Those were just drafts. Mistakes. I'm fixing it. He walked over to her and stroked her cheek. Trust me, he whispered. I'm saving us. You just have to be strong. Tomorrow, you just have to tell the judge the truth that your mom is confused, that she needs help. I guess, Crystal said. Good girl, he said. He kissed her. Now go pack a bag, just in case the hearing runs late. We might stay at a hotel. She turned to leave. He turned back to the shredder, where the evidence of his identity theft, the physical papers with the forged signatures, turned into confetti. He smiled. He thought he had one dot. I sent a text to Crystal. Come to my apartment tonight, alone. 8 p.m. if you don't come. Don't bother coming to the hearing tomorrow. She didn't reply, but at 8:05, there was a knock at my door. I opened it. Crystal stood there. She looked like a ghost. Mama, she said, I can't stay long. Marcus thinks I'm getting gas. Come in, I said. She walked in. She wouldn't sit down. What is this? She asked. Why are you doing this to us? I'm not doing anything to you, I said. I'm trying to show you what has been done to you. I picked up a tablet from my table. I handed it to her. Read this. What is it? Petton's report. Just read it. She took the tablet. She started to scroll. I watched her face, confusion, then shock, then denial. This says Marcus lost $90,000 gambling. Yes, that's impossible. He doesn't gamble. He does. Look at the dates. Look at the withdrawals. She scrolled further. And this, stolen goods, the gears, he stole from my workshop. Crystal, he sold my antique parts to a fence to pay his debts. No, she shook her head. No, he wouldn't. And the loans, I said. Look at the loans. She looked at the digital copies of the applications we had pulled from the bank server before he shredded the originals. That's my signature, she whispered. It's a forgery, I said. He took out $30,000 in your name. That's identity theft. She looked up at me. Her eyes were wet. Where are the papers? She asked. The real papers. He probably destroyed them by now, I said. But the digital footprint remains. He was shredding things today, she murmured. He said it was old paperwork. She dropped the tablet on the sofa. She put her hands over her face. Oh God, she sobbed. Oh God, Mama, he lied to me. He lied about everything. Yes, I said. But the petition, she said, looking up with panic. He made me sign it. He said you were sick. He said we had to protect you. He wanted to lock me up so I couldn't expose him, I said. And you helped him. I didn't know, she cried. I swear, Mama, I thought I was helping. You were weak, I said. And weakness is dangerous. She fell to her knees. She grabbed my hand. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. What do I do? Tell me what to do. I pulled my hand away. I can't tell you what to do, I said. Tomorrow at the hearing, you have a choice. You can stand with him and lose everything, or you can stand with the truth. I can't face him, she whispered. He's terrifying. Yes, I said, but I am worse. Monday morning, the hearing was actually a pretrial mediation scheduled at Peaton's office to avoid a public court scene. It was the final showdown. The conference room was huge. One side, Marcus, Vernon, Diane, and their lawyer, a greasy man named Raymond. Other side, me, Peton. And in the middle, sitting alone, Crystal. Marcus looked confident. He was wearing a power suit. He thought he had the upper hand because he believed the evidence was destroyed and the petition was filed. Let's make this quick, Raymond said, opening a cheap briefcase. My clients are prepared to drop the incompetency petition if Mrs. Hawthorne agrees to immediately. Sign over power of attorney and vacate the H&G Ventures claim. We all know this company is a fiction of a senile mind. Peton smiled. It was a shark smile. A fiction. Peton said, interesting theory. He pressed a button on the table. A screen descended. Let's look at the fiction, Peton said. The screen lit up. It showed the incorporation documents of H&G Ventures, dated 1995. Assets, $45 million. Sole proprietor, Gloria Hawthorne. Vernon choked on his water. Now, Peton continued, let's look at the high-value lifestyle of Mr. Marcus Sterling. The screen changed. The gambling records, the crypto losses, the texts to Felix. Marcus went pale. He stood up. This is fake, he screamed. You hacked my phone. That's illegal. It's admissible in a fraud investigation, Peton said calmly. And regarding the loan applications, the screen showed the forgeries.